Spoiler warning. I'll be talking about the second episode of Date A Live Season 4, Episode 2 in this video. But if you haven't seen the episode yet, then I suggest you watch it first and then come back here. Okay? Okay. So we just see a lonely Nia Honjo sitting alone inside a restaurant as Shido asks for Kotori's help on what to do. Even Kotori doesn't know what to do, as Nia being interested in the 2D was unexpected for her. As Nakatsugawa then says that anime and manga characters are ideal companions in a way, and when you compare them to real people, reality seems like a letdown. Kotori then asks whether he was speaking with experience, and he simply replies that he also fancies voice actresses as well. I really love it when they do stuff like this. It's fun, and I hate to say it, agreeable. I also love Kotori's uninterested response afterwards as well. Once they knew what specific character Nia loved, Kotori then asked Shido to hang on as help is on the way. While Nia was simply waiting and bored as she herself questions that Shido and Kotori were strategizing. Just as she thought Shido was back, the man of her dreams appeared right in front of her, and we just move into the opening. Once it was over, we continue where we left off as Tokia, which is just Shido in very good cosplay and acting. I just love Nia's reactions when she saw her favorite manga character in front of her. She gets nervous, she blushes, her heart would skip a beat. After getting her hand slapped, she just snapped and was just in love at this point as we see her happiness climbing up and reaching ceiling levels. Just as Shido was about to kiss her, Nia just stops him right there and acts pissed on how the man in front of her would never do such a thing, as she then says, "Don't break the fourth wall," and that really made me laugh as she then kicks him. We then move to a beaten down Shido who was now looking for more options, but as they were discussing their next plan, Kyohei says that even if their plan failed, it was true that they were able to get her happiness rose. As they then thought of a new plan, we then see Nia Honjo in her room fretting about leaving Shido on their said date, and even said that she should have let Shido at least kissed her. But she then says that spirit power can't be sealed unless they open their hearts, as she follows up that even though he's a good guy, 3D just doesn't suit her. I find it really cute as she whines on her bed asking Raziel as to what to do. A package then arrives at her doorstep. As soon as she opens it, a game was inside of it, and she plays it immediately. She was curious at first but decides to carry on. It was a school-based otome game, and as soon as she started playing, her said love interest resembled a lot like Shido. And technically it is Shido, but she doesn't know that. After continuing the game, she noticed that the boy resembled a lot like Shido. Wink wink. But she simply deems it as a coincidence. But I love how she freaks out about a character in a game speaking their name and sounded natural. Now I kinda agree with her on this one because some games tend to have characters that say the user's name, and hearing them say the name naturally is a pretty cool thing to hear, not gonna lie. I also love how she yells out saying how amazing science has reached due to the game making her actually write out what she wants to do. It's so cute. As we then see the staff doing all of the work and monitoring it. Her happiness was rising, and she has been playing for 2 hours now. Their plan was as soon as she's done playing, Shido can appear before her as Itsuki, the character in the game. Seeing that it's really him, she believes that there's nothing to screw up here. And we see Shido simply talking to a mic in which it's connected to the game itself, which is why it sounded natural when he spoke of Nia's name. But because it was a demo, Nia then thought of buying the full version as soon as it's out. And as she looks at the box, she tries to use Raziel to see whether this company has made other games before. And because of that, Shido accidentally speaks, and Nia then realized it was them all along, causing her to be furious. We then move to the next scene as everyone was present as they discussed a meeting on how to make Nia Honjo fall for Shido. It's really cool seeing all of them interact with each other again. I know this was one of my reasons that I complained about last episode where not all of them spoke, but I'm so glad we get to spend more time with them here. Hearing everyone's voices again, seeing them interacting with each other and stuff like that. The jokes were pretty fun here, like in order to make Shido into 2D, they'd have to flatten him with a steamroller. Everything about this episode is pretty fun. It's pretty meta. Like, ooh, she likes 2D even though we as the audience consider them as 2D. Like, I really enjoy moments like that in anime. As they all gave their ideas on their next plan, whether it be flattening Shido or turning him into an actual page thanks to Natsumi's angel Hanya. Origami then suggests an idea that they make an actual manga and Shido is the main character there. Everyone was starting to get on the idea, as long as they would write stuff that's true, and if she sees what Shido has done for them, she would end up liking Shido as well. Everyone was on board the idea. As we see the twins mention them tying on their 39th match on best manga submissions, Kotori would then comment on them being competitive over everything. And like I said earlier, it's nice seeing them interact with each other again. Someone then contacts them through the outside line and we just see Nia on the big screen. As she figured out what they were plotting, as she asks Raziel about the line and what they were planning. She tells them that even if they were able to make a manga, what made them think she'd actually read it? She also mentions that with Komiko coming, she doesn't have time for games and distractions. Kotori then challenges her. If their manga was able to sell more copies than hers at Komiko, she would have to read their manga. Now I really love how Miku explains what Komiko is to Toka and the audience to what it is. We then move to Nia's place as she says to herself that they're underestimating her and there's no way for her to fall in love with a real person and that nobody would love her as well. Now this here really piqued my interest because there's more to her character. There's more to something she's hiding and we don't exactly see that yet. I am curious to know what happened to Nia as to why she thinks this way and as to what made her like this. Kurumi Tokisaki then enters her room as her magnificent theme plays. Nia gets her guard up and she doesn't seem hostile here. In fact, she looks very hot. Nia figures out that she was the one who rescued her from DEM. Kurumi then says as she's the second spirit seen after the Spirit of Origin, then asks her a favor to ask Raziel about the Spirit of Origin and how to kill it. Now I am curious, is the Spirit of Origin the one from season 3? The one Origami tried to kill and the one that interacted with Shido for a bit? I don't seem to remember anything mentioned about that before. Or is that a new character who is about to be introduced here? Because there was a mysterious girl in the opening who was wearing a hat. At first I thought it was Miku, but then, yeah, apparently it's not. So I am pretty curious to know. So after all of that, we move to Shido's home as we see tables, rulers, cutters, and other materials needed to make manga. As everyone was impressed as how professional it looked. So they first start with figuring out how everyone draws and whether they look good or not. Kotori would also include Shido in the mix and call out that he too used to draw. And we get to see one of those on screen as he... Once everyone was done drawing, Toka and Yoshino were first and it's so cute how they have their own style and way to draw on how they see Shido, and it's so cute. I felt bad when their work wasn't used because it wouldn't fit the style they were going for. We then see Kotori and Miku's take on it, and I really love how Kotori's version is goofy looking while Miku's version is simply just Shiori, a callback to season 2 where Shido cross-dresses as a girl to get close to Miku at the time. And both Shido and Kotori simply leaves the scene as they look for the next one. Oh, and this was the first time Miku has ever called Shido darling ever since the last time we've seen her. Next, we then move to Yuzuru and Kaguya's sketches, and they really do look good. Yuzuru has a more gentle and gorgeous type of version, which makes sense for her character, while Kaguya has a rough and tough looking boy, which again also makes sense for her character. And then let's forget about Shido's work here. My god, this really caught me off guard. I was just laughing out loud when I saw what Origami drew. It's so classic Origami that I really couldn't stop laughing. Kotori and Shido freaks out as she explains her and Shido becoming as one, and that was just extremely hilarious to me. We then move to Natsumi's as she was scared to show them what she drew. But as soon as we see it, it was amazing, it was clean. And everyone was just astonished, especially Yuzuru, in which she was just shocked, literally. She then says that she tried imitating a manga artist once, and thus is the reason for her skills. They all then agreed with Natsumi as their main artist, with Yuzuru, Kaguya, Shido, and Origami supporting her. I gotta say, I also love what everyone is wearing in the scene here. It's so cute, and the details with Origami and Yuzuru not raising their hands high enough like the others really is a cool detail to catch on. As she adorably does it, Toka asks what will the others do, as Kotori tells her that she already has planned something for them. We then go to a random building rooftop where a bunch of Kurumi Tokisakis gather and have a discussion on what they just heard. And I really love the lighting here. The animation is just splendid. The music fits the tone of the scene so well. Then we get to know that even if Kurumi was able to gather spirit power, she'd still be no chance for the spirit of origin. But she simply laughs it off as she is the spirit with the power over time. She was confident. She thought by having that power, everything else is insignificant. Then we move back to Shido's house where it was already morning, and we just see everyone doing their best and making a few mistakes here and there. As Kotori then brings Shido to a diner where Reine and a girl named Hiroki Takajo is present. As we then know that she was Nia's friends, and that they used to be really close before. But then she treated her coldly and pushed her away. But other than that though, I realized when Kotori was speaking to Hiroki, she used her little sister voice. Even Shido notices it, but the ribbons are still black. Now that's where I want to know whether it was an error or a mistake. Maybe they forgot about the whole black ribbon equals series commander while white ribbon equals as the little sister personality. But yeah, that just got my attention because I was so used to seeing Kotori whenever she switches her ribbons, because that's how I know she's a little sister or the commander in the moment. Or I don't know, I could just be overthinking it, but it could also be that she doesn't need to switch ribbons anymore, or maybe it's just nothing. After hearing what Hiroki had to say, they simply went back and Kotori deducted that Raziel had a part in all of that, as she believed she saw something that could make her unable to trust humans. But Shido thinks otherwise, as he doesn't think Nia is the type of a person to simply do such a thing, as he then believes they need to win the bet in order to have a talk with her, as it is the only way. We then see all of them finishing everything. Tired from their work, eye bag scene, all of them really did their best, as Kotori and the other girls as well had the same tired look on their faces. But Natsumi was still finishing the last final touches, as she really is glad to be saved by everyone, and this time she wants to do her part in saving another spirit, as she would also want to show Nia that friends are wonderful too. And that was just cute how determined she was on working hard even though she's tired like everybody else. As she then faints from exhaustion after completing the chapter, Kotori then says her iconic line as the episode ends there. So the preview for the next episode was shown, and my god, we get to see them in bunny girl outfits. I am pretty much excited for that because they're so hot. And also because a battle is occurring in the next episode, as we see Shido holding Sandalphon and I guess Miku's angel Gabriel. We also get to see some shadow monsters appearing in the sky, as also the big baddie of the show finally starts to make his move. Now I am pretty excited for the next episode to see how everything unfolds, and also because bunny girl outfits. But for this episode, I really enjoyed it. Seeing all the characters hanging out with each other, interacting with one another was so good to see again. We get to know about Nia more and wonder why she changed. There's more to her character. And Kurumi's plan to kill the Spirit of Origin really got me interested. So a lot of plot points have been set, and I am curious to see where they all end. So if I were to rate this episode, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. It's amazing, the animation was just breathtaking, I really enjoyed the episode, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. I don't need to say why. And that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. See ya!